Wake up, wake up. It is here. It has arrived. That is right. Draft week is finally here. Wake the F up. We got a lot to talk about. Lots of Niner news. Let's go.
Wake Up brought to you by Prize Picks. It is great to have you here. He is Larry. I am Damon, and you all get Trent Williams this upcoming season and in 2027 as well. That is, I think, Larry, some of the best news to start draft week with. The most important, most productive, most elite offensive lineman that the 49ers have, who's a little long in the tooth. We'll give you that, but it really has not affected his play. He is still one of the premier tackles in all of football, and Trent got taken care of. And we're so excited. We started a little early today. It's a big day. I know you're heading down to Santa Clara. We got off-season workouts officially beginning for the first time, and what a way to kick off draft week, Larry. Seriously, this is good news, I think, for everyone.
Well, I mean, I don't want to say I told you so, and I'm not the last. I hate the people who say I told you so, but on our Friday wake up, I did say, hey, Tuesday or Monday, when John Lynch speaks, we're either going to get some updates or a announcement on Trent Williams, or it's like we're in uh-oh territory, and this guy could get traded during the draft. John said, hey, we have very good things we're on the precipice of announcing something very exciting. So we all had indications that this was the direction it was going weeks ago, last time John Lynch spoke to us. But we didn't know for sure, and we weren't sure exactly if they were going to be able to get it done. Today, they officially get it done. They create more cap room. They give Trent a multiple-year deal. He's with them through 27. There's also talk they're going to try to lock up McKivitz through 27, which I think tells us that they will not be going with Caleb Lomu or any of these tackles at 27. We'll get into that in a bit. But we should tell everybody Wake Up is presented by Prize Picks, America's #1 sports picks app. Prize Picks, super simple. You just pick more or less on player stats or even game outcomes. Build your lineup. It's available in most states, including this one, California. So if you haven't checked it out yet, use code HMA. It's in the corner of the screen, or it usually is. And when you play $5, you'll get $50 in lineups instantly. Thank you to Prize Picks for sponsoring both of our channels. Also, thank you on our side, of course, to Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. We'll be adding a third locale in Petaluma in a very short amount of time. So we will give you that information when it's official, but it is coming. Petaluma is the third in the empire, the barbecue empire of Damon and Mary, who started at Corte Madera and Emeryville and now have a third location. So thank you to our sponsors. And Damon, maybe you want to thank Ike, and then we'll get into our whole deal with the announcements of the day, because there was more than a few today.
Yeah, look, this is the left tackle of sandwiches. You go get yourself an Ike's. You'll be very happy that you did. It will more than protect the blind side of your belly. Something delicious. If there isn't an Ike's near you, hopefully there will be soon. One of the fastest growing sandwich empires in the United States. So, Larry, particulars. Let's get into them. It's a 2-year, $50 million deal, 37 fully guaranteed. There's a $22 million signing bonus. This opens an awful lot of cap room right now. The restructuring is good to the 49ers cap this season for sure. It lowers that number, and it all but guarantees the remainder of his career will be spent in a 49ers uniform. He is with the team through the end of 2027, and he just became the NFL's first non-quarterback to surpass $400 million in contracts, Larry, with $225 million in guarantees. Not only does this man protect Brock Purdy, he has gone on to protect his own family bank account in a way no other offensive lineman has ever done in football history.
He's a great player.
He's worth it.
He's a great player. He's a great leader. If you talk about the greatest tackles that ever played, I would, if there was a Mount Rushmore of tackles, we talk about Mount Rushmore a lot. We never talk about it in relation to tackles, but if you had one in relation to tackles, I think Trent's got to be on there, right? I think it would be like Trent Williams. Now mine would be Trent Williams,
Anthony Munoz.
Anthony Munoz of the Cincinnati Bengals. I would probably put Walter Jones on there, who totally stonewalled Joey Porter and all those Steelers in that Super Bowl when it was Steelers beating the Seahawks. Wasn't because of Walter Jones that Seattle lost that game.
Art Shell might be on the Mount Rushmore of tackles. I think Jim Covert is a guy who could be on the Mount Rushmore of tackles.
Jimbo Covert for your Bears.
Yeah,
that's not bad. I mean, I'd have to really do a deep dive and think about it. I mean, Zimmerman for a long time was like an automatic left tackle. I forget.
Orlando Pace
is in the Hall of Fame. Ron Yeri, I believe, or he might have been a guard actually. So yeah, I mean, it's, Trent Williams is definitely on the short list of consideration for that. He's that big, he's that strong. Look at it this way, Damon. The freak of freaks in this draft is Max Ionacher. And we can debate whether the Niners are still going to go offensive line. Nick Wagner says they're still going to go offensive tackle. I think Nick's wrong. But you know what? You can say whatever you want about Ionacher. When they did that side by side to his numbers and the combine numbers that Trent Williams had coming out of Oklahoma, Trent Williams is still beating him across the board. I mean, this is what a freak Ionacher is. And he's like almost like an athlete from like 2050, and yet Trent's got him beat in almost every single category. It's startling. It just shows, what a special athlete Trent Williams is, and he's really special when you factor in the 6'6", 320 or 330 or whatever he is. So yeah.
Really
great
day.
2 year, $50 million.
Walkout as well. The boombox walkout is part of the 49ers soul, and they need that. So he still have that. Look, more than anything, Larry, this is a deal that I think everyone gets to walk away from going, that's fair. That works. I mean, I've already seen some people in the chat complaining about cap hits or cap numbers or anything like that. Just stop it. Stop it. This is normal pay for someone who is good as who he is. He is the new deal makes him the 5th highest paid offensive tackle in the NFL on a per year basis. He's behind Tunsil, Rashawn Slater, Charles Cross, Christian Darrisaw. And look, for a guy his age, I think this is the right landing spot. As we've been talking about, 20 to 25 million is the new, that's what everybody who goes to the Pro Bowl makes price point in the NFL for a starter. Almost across the board at every position, $20 million is no longer a sticker shock number, or needs to stop being a sticker shock number, because this is the price of real estate in the modern NFL. It really is.
Well, I mean, look at his numbers. I mean, if you want to sit there and go, well, wait, why are they paying him so much? Here's why. Here's his grades by year. Well, this year or last year, let's just say, he was the 3rd best offensive tackle in football as graded out, not by rep or anything else. We're talking about just the pure grades. 3rd out of 89. Anything in the top 20 is great.
Yeah.
So last year, 6th, the year before that, 2nd, and then 22, 21, 20, he was 1st, single most dominant left tackle in the NFL for years. And not only that, he knows your system. He's the leader of your line. The key is not to, I think the Niners have been hoping that Trent Williams would come back and play another year or two. The key is now what? Now what? And Nick Wagner says this will not preclude the Niners from going offensive tackle. And I really think they were not going offensive tackle anyway. I really believe, I mean, I put this out, I think this weekend. Let me see if I can find it. But I put it out this weekend.
More than anything.
Go ahead.
Look, it resolves the single biggest cloud hanging over the organization. And it doesn't completely, I think, reshape the entirety of the draft. But it liberates them from having to go with best available on offensive line, other than we really do think this is the best player available. They could get to 27 and still say Ionacher is the best player on the board, and therefore we are taking him, or Caden Proctor is the best player on the board. And we're going to ask either one of those guys to play guard. The only thing it does to the offensive line pick is slate that pick to play guard, whether he's a tackle or a guard. I don't think it's out of the question. I don't think it should be out of the question, but it liberates them from having to do that. They can now play the draft as it breathes. They don't have to hold their breath waiting for 27 to align with we're trying to get around Trent and like, this just helps the Niners attack this draft for what's best for them, not what they need right now because of a decision that was made.
Now it really comes down to, and I tweeted this out this weekend. I'm like, they're going to go chase Basantis in round one. And I really do believe that. That's the Texas A&M starting left guard, 6'6". He's 330 pounds. He's got quick feet. He's really strong. The A&M strength and conditioning coach, who's been there forever, said this is the strongest player he's ever seen in all of his years covering, being around college football. He's only given up 2 sacks in the last 2 years combined. He gets on that second level. He's very experienced. He's got over 2,000 career snaps played. Now, he did have 8 penalties this year. So, there's some people that are, think that he gets a little too grabby. But I think he's a plug-and-play left guard. Now, here's the question. I think Basantis is probably the higher rated between him and Rutledge, but a lot of people like Keelan Rutledge, and I'm one of them. And he's like an old school throwback. And I watched the combine again last night, the combine highlights, to just take a look again at what these guys looked like moving around. And I can see Rutledge just moves without any stiffness. He's just such a natural athlete at that size that I think I would prefer, if I was given the choice, hey, you can stay at 27 and take Chase Basantis and plug him in at left guard. Or you could trade back 10 spots, get down to 37, 40 in that range, and take Keelan Rutledge from Georgia Tech. And I don't even know that this is possible, but if that were, I'd like to do that. But I'll say right now, whatever today is, what's the date today? Today is
April 20th, 420, Larry.
Happy 420.
Get yourself to Hippie Hill.
Happy 420, everybody. So, on 420, without smoking, I will tell you that I would be very surprised if it's not one of those two guys, Chase Basantis or Keelan Rutledge.
I spent part of the weekend watching some Chase Basantis tape because we started talking about him. I'm in. And here's the thing, Larry, I think more than anything now, moving back from 27 is probably the number one thing on the board. Like when you have, who do you think they're going to pick? Or do you think they're going to trade back? I do think trading back is what they do at 27. I think they move out of day one. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, Damon, I think that's very, very likely. There's multiple reports out this morning that they would like to trade back. It's just a matter of, there's only going to be 1 or 2 teams that are able to trade back at the end of the first round because there's only so many people that are looking for a quarterback. But you know what? Ty Simpson, Garrett Nussmeier, one of those 2 guys is going to be QB2, and it may be at the end of the first round for a desperate team. I'll say this. I like Nussmeier. I saw him in Baton Rouge. I thought he looked terrible. I saw LSU 3 times this year on TV, and I thought Nussmeier was terrible. And then all of a sudden, he shows up at the Senior Bowl, and it looked like a totally different guy. He was accurate. He was quick. He was making plays. So we'll see. It's not a good quarterback class, but I'll tell you this. I like Nussmeier more than I like Mendoza. I know Mendoza's your guy, but Mendoza doesn't move well. Mendoza's, luckily he's going to not play early. So he's going to be brought along right? I mean, they're going to bring him along right.
Yeah, no, Mendoza, he's not a lock. He's not explosive in his first steps to get out of harm's way, but he does. I mean, that's the thing. And one of his signature plays is the draw up the middle in that national championship game, the run and dive into the end zone. So I'm not here for any Mendoza slander today, Larry.
I'm just saying that all these people that are out there just crushing Dan Orlovsky, the people that are crushing Dan Orlovsky for saying that Simpson might be better than Mendoza, believe me, all these quarterback takes, remember the 2021 lead up to the draft, and remember your take, not your takes, but people's takes on any number of quarterbacks.
Look,
it's one of those things. We don't see it clearly in the draft that we're going into ever, and we always see it incredibly clearly in hindsight. And the combination makes the dialogue just ridiculous. Like every quarterback that's been in the league for 2 years and hasn't played well is a bust already in the minds of the public, despite the fact Mac Jones and Baker Mayfield and others, Geno Smith and others have proven that if you develop, you develop. And then there's the, every quarterback that's going to be in this year's draft is going to be Peyton Manning. You know what I mean? So it's
Right.
just the way it works. I mean, but I do like Nussmeier quite a bit.
Right. It's amazing how every single prospect either reminds everyone of a total bust out or a Hall of Famer. There's no in between. There's no just
never.
And he had an NFL career. Look, I think that there is absolutely no guarantee of anyone at any position being drafted and successful in this league. Nothing proves that you can play in the NFL until you're playing in the NFL. And that's sort of the beauty of all of it. And that's the crapshoot that we're all signed up for. And the fun that we're going to have on Thursday. I'm so tired of talking about the run up to the draft that now I just need the draft. Here we go. And I think it's going to be fascinating. I think it's wide open, Larry. The same way that this was one of the most wide open years in football, this is one of the least established consensus top 10s you're ever going to see. You got names all over the board of who could go where. And I think it's going to be fascinating. And I do think that there's going to be a lot of movement on Thursday. And the who's ever working the cron updating of trades, the person working the Chromacast or whatever it's called is going to be having their fingers typing furiously all draft day, because I do think that there's going to be an awful lot of movement. We've talked about how the 49ers, one of the movements that they got to get faster in is just the movement of business, right? This was a team that even had its own players like Kittle saying, yeah, man, the 49ers take forever to get deals done. And they use training camp as a little bit of a leverage, and they're a wait and see football team. And they do not run to the checkout section to try to get players that you think would be, well, yeah, break that guy off. There's nothing to even talk about. They just do not do business fast. Well, they are moving faster. Look at the deals that they've gotten done ahead of training camp in just the last 4 big-time contracts. Now, Purdy obviously was a corner they painted themselves into. We knew that was going to get done. But Warner, Kittle, now Trent, they re-up Christian McCaffrey before anyone thought they were even going to do that. So I do think that the 49ers are taking some notes that the NFL universe has given back to them, saying, you're pissing some of your players off.
Well, you know what, Damon? I mean, you can say whatever you want about the Niners, and people can say whatever they want about the Niners. One thing you can't say is you can't say that they don't listen to the noise. They do. They do. The NFL report came out that the players thought that the Niners training staff got a C- and their training room got a C-. What did they do? They hired a bunch of, physical therapists, and they're going to do more one-on-one, and they're listening to their players. So I do think, there's some whispering that the facilities are getting too old. From what I've been told, they're looking at new facilities and new weight rooms and, expanding and building. And so I do think they're listening. And I think they're listening also to the chatter from guys like you and me and others who are saying, get your shit done on time. Seahawks do. Philly does. Other people do. I understand about getting your price, but there's sometimes you lose when you win, and you're saving a few bucks is not the end all be all if you don't get your player in on time and in the proper frame of mind. So, yeah, I mean, this deal with Trent freed up more than $20 million in salary cap space, according to Lombardi. So the Niners have more extension, more room to do more things going into the draft. So that's good. But yeah, I mean, it's important for them to get these things done and to not be the last person out there or last team out there. A lot of news, though. Let's get to it since we don't have a lot of time this morning. Despite the 49ers reworking Trent Williams' deal, according to Nick Wagner, it doesn't change their interest in possibly drafting an offensive tackle at 27. He says the questions that the Niners must answer are whether spending 27 on an offensive tackle who might not start for a year or two is better than taking, say, an edge or a wide receiver who also might not start but can contribute in some way right away, or if they want to find someone who could start on day one, whether they'd be willing to break from their positional preferences and draft a safety or a guard. Ideally, any O-line pick they make could start early at left guard in 2026 with the ability to move outside later. The thing is, they're picking late in the round in a draft that isn't flush with first-round talent, so they have to weigh immediate impact possibilities on a team that looks like it wants to win now versus playing for the future at the position where it would be wise. So, you got a thought on that, Damon?
Yeah. I mean, I think I already said it.
Okay, so I'll just say
Well,
I think they're going to break. I think
yeah,
they're going to break their positional preferences. Then I really do. I know they have positional preferences, but they also I think are going to go for need. I do think it will be a safety or most likely an offensive guard, as I said, with
right.
Besantis and Rutledge being the guys.
I think that offensive line is absolutely still in play, but the offensive lineman that is taken at 27 is your penciled in day one left guard. So whether he be a tackle or a guard, you're going to be a guard for the 49ers. Trent's not going anywhere, period, and that's good news. Safety is in play, wide receiver is absolutely in play. And just you're sort of nuts to ignore history. That defensive lineman, which is a retreat point for them in a lot of drafts, it's not just a retreat point, it's a need. It's not just like, oh, a habit that they're in. Unfortunately, the habit that they're in hasn't gotten them enough talent to now we can break the habit of not taking a defensive lineman, but they need one. They need one because their single best defensive line player is, I don't want to say now oft injured, but to pencil in Nick Bosa for 17 starts next year feels pretty damn wishful thinking. So they need another pass rusher, period. No matter where it comes from, no matter what pick. I think they are taking an edge rusher at some point. I wouldn't be surprised to see it at 27. I mean, or trade back and take someone you like a little bit later on in that second round. But I just think that look at these odds right here. I like these. I haven't seen these yet.
These are as of probably sometime in the last few hours. It may have changed, but yeah, offensive line plus 115. For those who are asking, that that means offensive line is favored, right? Offensive line would be the first choice of the position.
Well, and I bet you this came out. Well, I bet you this came out before the Trent Williams news broke this morning. So I bet you
possibly, but maybe not, because Coach Yak is on this stuff, and he, who knows? But defensive line edge is second at plus 220. Wide receiver is third at plus 425. Corner is four at plus. Corner is four. Wow, at plus 550. Safety is 5 at plus 1,000. So offensive lineman is just all grouped together. So guards and tackles. Albert Breer, so I'll stop sharing that, but Albert Breer also is on Twitter saying that he thinks that the 49ers might trade back. He says, what you need to know, Bosa and Williams are coming back. They got a very young core on the front behind Osa Odigizua. So, it's the nine. He says the Niners are always looking for a dominant front, but he says trading down is something the Niners will certainly seriously consider. Now, that's a report. Also, a report that's out there that has to be thrown out there, Damon, is this one, and that is that. According to Adam Schefter, Mac Jones is not expected to be traded this week during the NFL draft. There were still some rumors.
That's something we went over on Friday as well. Yeah, I mean, that would be a luxury to go ahead and acquire more draft picks, but I think they now have a luxury of trading back at 27 to acquire more draft picks. So as we said, there's only one position group where the Niners might have an A+, and that would be backup quarterback. With Mac Jones, they might have the best backup quarterback in all football with him. So
and they've made it clear. Shanahan's made it clear he wants him.
Yeah,
he wanted him, and now he wants him. You know what I mean? He wanted him originally. Now he's got him, and I don't think we'll see. We'll track where this goes down the road, but it'll be interesting to see if Kyle Shanahan does part ways with Mac Jones at some point, or if he just says, you know what, I always wanted him. We're going to keep him. Coach Yak tweeted this one out from Schefter. It's very possible that Brandon Aiyuk gets traded during the NFL draft this week, according to Adam Schefter.
It better be.
This seems like almost like the 49ers just want to keep him from Washington. It almost feels like that at this juncture. Like everybody knows, there's been 20,000 different tweets rumored about it, that if he gets set free, if he gets his freedom, that he's going to Washington. You know the thing about it, Damon, for a guy who's as narcissistic as Aiyuk is, who wanted to turn his contract extension into a documentary, don't you think if this guy were training anywhere on the planet, and looking great, that we would be seeing it right now? I think we would, especially since he had a crushing 3 ligament injury that a lot of NFL people are kind of questionable whether he's going to play again. I've heard people say, is he going to play again? Where is he? I haven't heard anything about him. His market is dying for an update that shows him on a practice field post-surgery looking like Brandon Aiyuk, and he can't produce it. It makes me wonder where he's at, period.
Larry, I hadn't even thought of that, really. That mind never even that train of thought hasn't jogged itself through my mind, but I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right.
He'd be out there, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I would think that he would be.
Look at me. Look at me. I mean, the guy showed himself driving 100 miles an hour across from his old place of work. You don't think he would show the world? And maybe he's on the verge of being released and having all of the guaranteed money and just being totally gone.
Right. You do your own thing. You're not going to want some fresh footage to go ahead and start shopping yourself with. Plus, we know he's an Instagram head and he would be on that and be doing.
Where is it?
It's weird. Yeah, that's a very good point, man. And look,
don't tell me he's private. Don't tell me. No, dude. No, you don't understand, dude. You don't understand BA. He's private.
He's playing his cards close to his vest. No, it's kind of not who he is. Look, I think you're right about that. I think it is interesting. And I would say that, the Niners normally, all NFL teams want to do right by the player. Whether a player whether you like him or not, whether you want him or not, you want to do right by the player because you want all players in football speaking kindly of you. I don't think Brandon Aiyuk is a let's do right by him player now for the 49ers.
No.
Yeah, he officially wore out his welcome and his time with the team, and they're going to do what's right for them. And what is right for them is hoping that somebody other than Washington is going to be interested in this player. And maybe that explains the lack of any video. Maybe Brandon Aiyuk doesn't want a robust market. He wants to get himself to Washington that badly, and I really don't understand why. Like, it's not like Hidden and Jaden Daniels are.
Well, they're college boys. I mean, the same way you want to get together with your buddies from Indiana, he probably wants to get together.
I went to my college. Those are guys who were friends of mine for 4+ years. These guys had one season together at ASU before everybody went their own separate ways.
Yeah, but who knows? I mean, who knows? I mean,
it's weird. It's weird. He's weird. Screw that guy. Trade him for a 7th or a 6th if you can. I do think he gets dealt during the draft for sure. Maybe he is somebody packaged with a 4th rounder that helps the Niners move into the 3rd. Maybe. You look at the NFL,
or maybe there's a player for play. To me, it's complicated. If I were the team trading, I wouldn't want to give anything concrete as far as a pick. I'd almost want to go conditional pick, and I wouldn't want to do a 26 pick. I'd want to do a conditional 27th pick. Let's see what this guy is, because what if he's terrible? We don't want to be giving you a 3rd round pick if you can't play and he's all broken. So let's do a
right.
Let's
do some kind of if he's
a conditional. Let's do a conditional pick where I think the better play might be like, hey, look, we have player X. We're tired of him. You have player Y. You're moving on from him. And there's for Cleveland, I'll give you an example. Cleveland has a couple different guys that they would probably move on from. Is JOK going to play again? Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I'd take him straight up for Aiyuk. Is Washington, if they have Aiyuk, that probably almost guarantees they're going to cut Luke McCaffrey. Would they flip you Luke McCaffrey? We've heard everything that he has no market. He's not going to be traded. He absolutely is going to be traded. Nobody wants him. Everybody wants him. Whatever. I don't know what the truth is. We're going to find out soon enough. But to me, it seems like it's almost cleaner to trade him for here's a player we're tired of. I give you an example. Buffalo. Buffalo needs a player. What happens if they're tired of Keon Coleman? Right. I mean, the coaches badmouthed him. The owner badmouthed him. Everybody bad. Would you take Aiyuk would you take Keon Coleman for Aiyuk? I would. I would.
Instantly. I'll trade my problem for your problem. And here's the thing.
Maybe that's the way they go.
What's a shame of all of this is we all forget, because everybody's been kind of anti-Aiyuk for a while now. He was a good player, man. He was a good player when he was at his peak. He was a very good player. He did all the things that were successful, and what Shanahan wanted from his players, and why the whole thing. I mean, it's going to deserve its own 30 for 30 one day, Larry. It really is. Like, where did the breakdown occur? You don't get a lot of players getting the mountain of money they demanded to climb up, and then getting really angry with the franchise. And that's kind of the way it happened. It was very, very odd. What isn't odd, and I knew it would happen based on the Trent Williams news and our fancy thumbnails that we've had up here, is we've got a huge audience right now, Larry. Nearly 1,400 people watching us across all of our platforms on both channels. Welcome, everybody. Hit like and subscribe. It's great to have you here. We got Larry for about 10 more minutes, which means we got a show that is wrapping up quickly, because he's heading down to what is the first day of off-season workouts for the Niners, and what I'm guessing is going to be a smiling ear-to-ear John Lynch on this Trent Williams news.
Yeah, and now, that was going to be one of my questions is, John, what's the deal with Trent? I think my question now will be, John, how much say did Robert Saleh have in the selections of your defensive players last year? And is Raheem Morris going to have a similar type control or impact on whatever defensive players you take this year?
It's a good question.
That's going to be my question, or, unless somebody heard this stream and asks it before I can ask it, which could happen. It's happened before. By the way,
who's Snake and Wake Up to ask questions here, Larry? Who's the person? Name that.
Guy Haberman. It's Guy Haberman.
Freaking Guy Haberman.
No. Come on, Guy Haberman. Come on. He would not do that. We should tell everybody let's jump into our Prize Picks lineup for today. Prize Picks is America's #1 sports picks app, and the reason I like it, it's simple. You're just picking more or less on player stats or even game outcomes, building your lineup, and you're in. No complicated stuff. Just what you think is going to happen in the game. Use code HMA. Play $5. Get 50 in lineups instantly. The link is in the description. All right, let's get into it. We will share the screen. And there we go. And we'll move this around so we get down here in the corner. There we go. Nobody puts us in the corner. We'll take our little banner off there for just a second. Where's the banner? There we go. So you guys can see us. And then we will put this out there. Oh, we got that. We got it. Away we go. All right. So this is our lineup for today. We're going to go with Myles Garrett, less than 14 sacks. We're going football futures, 20 to win 120. Puka, less than 8 receiving touchdowns. And JSN, less than 1,324.5.
You set this lineup before consulting me, Larry, but okay.
Well, he just had an amazing year, and we'll see. I mean, we'll see how it goes. But anyway, three pick power play, $20 pays you $120. Thank you to Prize Picks for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show, and we will stop sharing and check that out. But check out Prize Picks. You guys will not be disappointed. You'll be really glad that you did. And welcome back to the extravaganza. All right.
Good to have you. Can we just talk about the business of this offseason, because you want to get your ducks in a row before you start the draft. And this was one of our fears, that the Niners would not have their ducks in a row, the biggest decision decided before they got into the draft. And that happened this morning with the re-signing of Trent Williams. Their offseason business has included, and this is I even think I saw you tweet over the weekend. You're like, wow, the Niners have had that good of an offseason. Somebody said the Niners have had like a top 3 offseason in the NFL, and it doesn't really feel that way. But then you kind of look at it and you go, all right, what do you got here? A new defensive coordinator in Raheem Morris. They traded a 3rd rounder for Odigizua, who's one of the best defensive tackles in football and makes their entire defensive tackle situation an awful lot better. They signed Mike Evans and Christian Kirk to a team that was desperate for more production at wide receiver. They bring Dre Greenlaw back, which how much he plays and just the energy in the room, it balances itself out. Hopefully Dre Greenlaw is an impactful re-addition. They re-signed Eddie Pinheiro, which is something that I thought was a crucial step to make after you finally solve what was years of special teams problems. This guy basically solved it all for you. And now Trent Williams is locked in for the rest of his career. As we stand 72 hours ahead of the draft, Larry, looking back at it, with hindsight being 2020, I'm kind of loving this offseason so far for the 49ers. I think it's a really good offseason. they have added impactful players while still leaving the door open for some of their young, skilled players that have been drafted but have not been necessarily used to still have a say in this upcoming season too. I think it fits together, man. I'm liking the way this team's been built.
I mean, I got to see the draft. I mean, you know, they went, I'll just say this, they went for the now, right? So, you know, we'll see if it's consistent. They went for the now. Mike Evans is a now move. Dre Greenlaw is a now move. They're not looking down the road. They're looking right now. They're not trying to win the Super Bowl in 3 years. Even though they got their doors blown off by Seattle, they're going to try to regroup in one off season and get back in there and win it this year. So that to me means that, like, all this talk about drafting for the future, nope, they're drafting for the present. By the way, you're not the only person that feels that way. Guess who shares your opinion? Baldy. Listen to Baldy's thoughts on this. This is pretty good.
The 49ers, big haul. The four guys, Mike Evans, back week 18 right here, runs right through the defender, draws a DPI, just soft gloves right there, easy catch. Got a top flight corner down here, J.C. Horn, a little shake at the top of the route, bam, still can separate, go down low, slide into second base, get the first down. Then you've got Vidarian Lowe. This Vidarian Lowe started 4 games last year for the Patriots. I'm telling you, that's Kyle Van Noy right there. He tried to spin on him. Like, Kyle Van Noy would be eating some grass seed here as Drake May throws his touchdown pass to the rookie right there, Kyle Williams. All right. Then you watch him in the run game. Like, Doug Marrone coached him last year. He's 6'5", he's 315. He's good on his feet, stays on his feet. Like, Vidarian Lowe is going to be a good depth player on that offensive line. Then you get this right here. You get Oso Digizua, right, against the Eagles right here. Like, this he knows how to pressure a quarterback. Right through the outside shoulder right there of Landon Dickerson, gets home Jalen Hurts in the fourth quarter of that game. But you watch him right here. Like, that's the move one. That's what you want to see. Inside 2-eye, one step, bam. Beats the center, up the field, beats the back, forces an errant throw. And then, of course, you get Dre back. All right, Dre's back, and he can still just do this. Like, not every team is a good fit, but he's going to be next to Fred next year, and he's still going to be whacking people. Pretty good haul for those 4 from San Francisco.
Not bad.
Those guys.
You know, by the way, I'd love to have Baldy speaking at my funeral. You know, look at Krug here. He's making a sandwich. He walks over here to the kitchen. Look at him. Look right there. Look, pats his kid on the head. Look, what a good dad. And then he goes over. He walks the dog. Look at him take out the trash. I mean, Baldy can say anything and just.
Larry in a different system might not be making that sandwich that everybody wants, but in this system, in this kitchen, he really fits the kitchen. So
I mean, you know, the way his wife goes avocados and then he just goes right to the spread. I mean, come on, there's nothing like it. I mean, Baldy's unbelievable. But, you know, watching that, I wanted to show you that because it happened a while ago. And because it happened a while ago, we tend to not think about it. But in reality, one of the greatest additions of this offseason was the Niners stealing Osa Odigizua away from Dallas. And they got a defensive tackle of note in his prime coming into the 49ers situation. So that was the move that I think takes it from to yeah. But of course, the draft will be the final exclamation point. But yeah, I think you're right, Damon. I think it's been a very underrated offseason for the 49ers. You know, extending Trent was a major one. I thought getting Christian Kirk was a really good one too, because they really don't have depth at receiver. Kirk had a great playoff. When in the playoffs, I thought, man, this guy's ready to take off. Re-signing Eddie Pinheiro was huge. Getting a Raheem Morris, I think, was huge too. And I think it's going to show itself in this draft because I think Raheem Morris's greatest trait is his ability to be adaptable to different systems and different personnel. But his greatest trait is his ability to identify players. He's got a great eye for it. And that's why I want to ask Lynch about it today.
With the first pick of the 49ers 2026 NFL draft at 27, they will select fill in the blank, Larry.
you know what? I feel like this is going to be Chase Besantis. And I know that's going to be unsexy for a lot of people. And there's going to be people talking about positional value and all that kind of shit. But ultimately, if you really want to have, like, there was 3 bottom lines, Damon, from the Seattle game. Like, I'm walking out of that stadium, and I think I was even talking to you maybe in a text. I think we might have been texting back and forth after that game. And I think I said, this game was awful as far as they could not control Byron Murphy or Leonard Williams. And if you cannot control and get that duo blocked inside, you have no shot. You got no shot. So to me, you got to center on 2 players in this draft at that spot. You had to get Trent done. You got to get that power guard. And I think it's Besantis. It could be Rutledge, but I like Besantis as a power player. He's really powerful. And then if it's up to me, I'm using one of those 4th-round picks or maybe even a later pick on my guy Fabechi Wiwu from Oklahoma, who's enormously strong with long arms. You plug in the next 2 years, Besantis at left guard and Wiwu at center, and you now can push those guys around. When you have that kind of strength on your defensive line in your division, you got to be able to match up with strength inside. That was number 1. Number 2, the Seahawks have JSN. He's in his prime. He's absolutely in his prime. He's a great, great player. So the other angle on this thing is maybe corner and your guy. Here's my debate, Damon. I'll crystallize it in 30 seconds. Besantis or Rutledge, I think, is the pick, right? But your guys are special. Indiana was special. And I think it has to be respected this year. And why were they so freaking special? Kalen Black, Fernando Mendoza, Mikhail Kamara, but major reasons, Omar Cooper Jr. and D'Angelo Pons. And to me, that's my whole thing on draft day is if I'm Lynch, I'm taking Besantis or Rutledge. The only debate that we're still having in the room is if we get to 27 and we could move back 3 or 4 spots, do we consider Pons? Do we consider Cooper? Because they're that special of people. And I really believe that you win when you get special players that are special people. So I'm going to say Besantis, but I'm going to give them the ability to trade back and get Besantis or go with the 2 Indiana guys. I think they're that special.
I think Cassius Howell's name.
Stuff on Pond's name. He's a nickel. He's not a nickel. He's a boundary corner. He played the boundary. He asked to play the boundary. He's going to play the boundary for the Niners, and he can play inside if you need him. He's everything that you want in a division that has JSN and Puka Nacua. You need D'Angelo Pons.
I just think them signing 2 boundary corners this offseason
precludes it. Probably
kind of takes that off the board. The way that you think, and it's right to think that Trent Williams probably takes a guy like Ionicher off the board. I hope it doesn't. I think Caleb Lomu is now off the board. I do. But I think you can maybe even trade back and still pick up Ionicher, who I've seen drifting into the top of the 2nd round more than moving up the board. I still think offensive line is the way to go. I really do. Drafting a Trent Williams replacement doesn't have the blinking neon light of necessity over it anymore, but I still think it's the right investment. I still think you get a starting left guard in Ionicher, and having a raw, big ceiling, don't know about his floor guy playing next to Trent Williams is a really good way to break that guy in. So I still think it's the play, but when in doubt, go defensive line. I do think it's going to be Cassius Howell at 27 if they just pick at 27. I do. Right. I think they are looking edge. I think they're looking speed edge. I think he fits Raheem Morris's what he wants to do. He's not the bull rush guy. He is the speed guy. He's speed. And that's what I think they want.
I mean, you could be totally right. I mean, I'll just say this. If you're just going off of last year, right, where he took Jalon Walker, 245-pound edge rusher, really fast, bendy off the edge, what's Cassius Howell? If Raheem Morris loved Jalon Walker last year, He's going to love Cassius Howell this year. So that's a good call by you.
By the way, Yan Cho says, I hate both their picks. Well, thank you for watching. And all I can tell you
that's not that's not my pick. I'm not making the Basantis pick. I'm telling you what I think they're going to do. I just told you I would trade back and go for Pons. I'm a big believer that you got to match up with JSN. Now, one other thing. There's a personality trait that's always we get a glimpse into this time of year, and it's the self-destructive personality trait. One year it was Laramie Tunsil with his gas mask, even though he's been an awesome player. He wore that gas mask picture, cost him some money. Did you hear what happened this weekend with Zachariah Branch? 22-year-old Zachariah Branch, Georgia Bulldogs receiver, probably slated to go in the 3rd round. A lot of people have him coming to the Niners. He faces misdemeanor charges of obstructing a sidewalk and blocking a law enforcement officer after ignoring orders outside a bar in Athens, and I'm sure that's Athens, Georgia.
Yes, it's where
he's not there at the Parthenon. He's
no. He's in front of a bar called Gator Haters.
Exactly. Officers were dispersing a post G-Day crowd when Branch, a projected 2nd or 3rd round pick with a school record 81 catches last season, refused to move aside. Analysts expect the minor incident won't derail his draft stock entirely. Though it arrives at the worst possible time with the draft starting on Thursday, reactions range from calls of poor judgment to debates over police handling in a busy scene.
Who knows? I'd like to see the body cam footage on all this. But again, this is equivalent of a jaywalking ticket. It's not like the guy was involved in any violent act or attack.
Right. It's the timing, bro.
Big scoop of nothing, but
the timing almost is like that. The timing is it makes you go, bro, really?
On the day you're going to an interview, you should shave. This is the equivalent of him walking into an interview unshaven, disheveled, no deodorant. Really wrong way. Doesn't mean you're not going to be a great employee. Doesn't mean you're not the right guy. But this is a really weird way to start the process. And in the world,
it's worse than that. It's worse than unshaved.
What do I have to lose? What do I have to lose is a question you should be asking yourself at all times. What do I have to lose? And if the cop is just asking me to move, just move and lose absolutely nothing.
No, I mean it's bad. It's bad judgment. It's worse than not shaving. It's you know what? The radio station of your dreams just hired you. They told you to come down to meet the general manager, the program director, and the other hosts. And you got into a verbal disagreement that gets physical with the parking attendant, with the garage parking attendant. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, bro.
But it didn't get physical. That's the thing. He didn't.
No, it didn't get physical. But I mean, or you got verbal. Let's say you get verbal with the parking lot attendant. It's like, come on, bro. Do you want this job or not? Are you trying to shoot yourself in the foot? Some people have a self-destructive mechanism to them. Maybe he's like.
All I can tell you is Georgia players right in front of the draft should all lock themselves in their houses and do nothing.
I'm watching one thing. I'll give you one wild card on this thing that I really think is a wild card. And I don't know if I'm right, but the Niners, John Lynch admitted a few weeks ago that, that they try to do some misdirection because they know we're all here. They know they've got the Grant Cohns, the Larry Krugers, the Damon Bruces, the Dave Lombardis, the NBC Sports Bay Area, the Athletic. They've got a large audience of people who are watching their every move. So John was like, hey, you know what? We played some gamesmanship with some of our invites and some of our stuff. We know people are watching us. Okay. I'm watching Caught in the Draft last night on ESPN or on NFL Network, which is their history of the draft. And they're going back to the 1995 draft. And in that 1995 draft, Rich McKay put together Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks in the same draft. He got them both at the top of the draft. And that duo with John Lynch became the trio of Hall of Famers, which led them to their Super Bowl. And Rich McKay is quoted here. He says, you can't, this is such a great quote, Damon. He says, you can't watch the tape on Derek Brooks and allow him to go 28th in the draft. That's what's wrong with us as an industry. Too good of a player, too productive, national championship, best team in the country, best player on that team. Okay. And I bring this up because now you got the same situation. You got C.J. Allen, who is an awesome talent, a great player, 3-year starter. Georgia's pretty much been the best team in college football the last few years. I realize your Indiana Hoosiers are on top right now, but just generally, they've been on top, Georgia. And this guy's been the best player on the best defense. Lynch is tight with Kirby. He was at the Georgia Pro Day. Kirby has been saying things about this player, C.J. Allen, that makes you think he's Patrick Willis. He is a great player. He's a great athlete, but he's also supposedly the hardest working guy of all time. The scouting report in the the Beast said he's a stud of a human being, was the quote from the scout. Is there a chance? Like, let's just leave everybody with this thought. I think it's going to be Chase Besantis. You think it's going to be Cassius Howell. Is there a chance that John Lynch surprises us all and goes with C.J. Allen because we've been telling him, John, go best player available. Don't, BPA, Howie Roseman at his presser the other day. I always go best player available. The Niners like to say they go best player available, but they really go with needs. If they go with Besantis, that's a need. If they go with Cassius, that's a need. But if they go with C.J. Allen and say, this guy is special, I'm just saying, I think your idea has got a great merit. I'll say 40% chance, Cassius Howell. I'll say 40% chance, maybe 45%. I'll say 50% chance, Chase Besantis. Okay, I had to go with one of the other. That's not. I'll give 10% chance. Wild card pick: Omar Cooper, D'Angelo Pons, C.J. Allen.
I think there is a greater chance of that happening with a trade back. He could be the first player drafted after a trade back trade. C.J. Allen, I think, is why Lynch was at the Georgia Pro Day. I think he was watching.
You think so?
I think he was watching closely. And this is also bringing me to Oscar Delp being a fourth round option at tight end as well. I think Delp could be a fourth rounder for the Niners. But C.J. Allen,
a good call.
C.J. Allen is a real player. But do you have the middle linebacker snaps for him with Fred Warner coming back? Do you just where does C.J. Allen instantly fit in? Look, it takes two to tango for sure. If you were to add a player like that, trading from Winters or Bethune absolutely becomes an option to move up and down the board a little bit later on. So, yeah, there's absolutely a chance it could happen. And if they did, I don't think anyone would be complaining about it. He's a hell of a football player, man.
One guy that I got into a deep rabbit hole with a buddy of mine last night who's like, Krug, you got to go do a deep dive on this guy. I think he's going to be a Niner. I said, really? Really? Who is that? And he goes, he's a running back. What was the first word out of my mouth?
Kalon
Black? And he's like, I like him too. No, Jonah Coleman to the 49ers in the 4th round. Running back, University of Washington. He's a kid from Stockton, went to Lincoln High School in Stockton, 4-year starter, finalist for the academic Heisman. Really impressive, all kinds of ability after contact. He led the nation. 71% of his yards came after contact, number 1 in this draft class. Averaged 12.4 yards after the catch, number 1 in this draft class. Only 2 fumbles in the history of his college football career. Number 1 in this draft class. Number 1 in the draft class in first down rate among running backs. Anyway, just remember that name. Jonah Coleman. Jonah Coleman, kind of a sawed-off University of Washington running back. If he's there in the 4th round, he might go in the 3rd, but if he's there in the 4th round, Niners could grab Jonah Coleman.
Let's get a few supers here, Larry.
Yes, let's hit our supers, and then we got a bolt for the door. We got 5 of them. We got this one. What position would you both consider a sleeper in the 1st round, assuming they stay? Mine is them going cornerback. I like that one. Happy 420, Damon, LOL. What, I don't get a happy 420?
Guess not, Larry. I guess they don't think you're observed. I do broadcast with the ganja jar and clear sight right there. But that's okay. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a clean liver. Think that way. Think that. Barry Ford, Memphis. I'm health food to the bitter end. Good morning, guys. Thanks for some good news to start the week. For the jar.
It really is. Look, thank you very much, Barry. And it is, to me, this Trent, there's not a lot that I read on Twitter that makes me sit up in bed. I sat up in bed the minute I saw this break of Trent Williams. I just said, thank God, man. There,
that's too much TMI. We don't need you. We don't need your bedroom play-by-play.
I'm not crazy for thinking this is so important that it has to get done before the draft. Thank you for proving that I am not some lunatic who thinks that securing the best left tackle in football sounds like a really good idea for a football team. I'm glad they did it.
That's the last play-by-play I want from Damon's bedroom. Thomas Selman, wake up, Krug. Is your studio indoor or outdoor? Outdoor? What do you think this? It's an indoor studio. I mean, I know it's not fancy, but it's indoor. We have a roof and doors. Fuji, I need 49er football to distract from the San Francisco Giants. What? They just took 2 out of 3 from the Nets.
Yeah. Everything's fine.
Tony Vitello and Drew Gilbert. Dude, how much juice is Drew Gilbert given the Giants? I mean, I love that kid. Thomas Selman, why do fans think Purdy is old? Definitely need a young wide receiver.
There's never been a quarterback in the history of this market that has confused a fan base more than Brock Purdy. He's got people all spun around. He can't. He's got a weak arm. Everything that says he leads the NFL in downfield passing. Guy can't win. He wins an awful lot. He doesn't win big games. He's won more playoff games than anybody named Joe or Steve in the history of the franchise. It's just amazing.
Come on. He's not him. Shut the fuck up. Neither are you. All right. That's going to do it. He's Damon. I'm Larry. This has been Wake Up. Let's go out there and ask some questions. When Damon and Lowry were down asking me the tough questions, I always did myself a favor and just said, no comment. No comment. Damon, you want to know what my favorite Thanksgiving side dishes were? No comment from this old guy. Trent Balky says no comment.
I wrote down one phrase and put it in an envelope. No comment.
Chad wrote down a name in an envelope and it said, you're fired no matter what.